Well, good morning to the Voorhees College family, Dr. Ronnie Hopkins, members of the cabinet, our distinguished faculty, staff, and students. I'm Dr. Herman Skip Mason Jr., Director of the Voorhees Library and Chair of the Lyceum Series. And it is a joy and delight today to welcome you to our weekly Black History Month program that we entitled the Blue Table Talk. Today, we are just so blessed to have two phenomenal guests who will come and share and pour wisdom and nuggets about their journeys to their profession. But before we begin, as it is the custom and tradition of Black History Month, we open up with the singing of a verse of our national anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing, and that will be followed by the invocation by Reverend Yvonne Singleton. Please now hear our Director of Choir and the Director of the Center of Scholarship and Retention, Ms. Rachel Jones.
Let us pray. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, Thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, Thou who hast by Thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met Thee, lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget Thee. Shadowed beneath Thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land. God, we come this morning to thank You for our early risings. Thank You for being able to get up and dress up and come out, dear God, to our different venues where we work or sing and whatever it is we have to do. But we know that You have provided for us, dear God, and without You, we are just helpless. And so we thank You, God, for Your mercy, and we thank You for Your grace. But now, God, we thank You for allowing us to come together in a virtual kind of way, that we celebrate our forefathers, our foremothers who have come before us, dear God, who have treaded the pathway for us to follow. And we thank You, God, for those speakers who will come to share with us this morning and enlighten us about their own journeys. But God, let us know that You are the one who make it possible for us. And whatever it is that we will do, that You have assigned it to our hearts and our hands, that we might be successful at our different endeavors. Watch over us, God. Keep us, hold us in the hollow of Your hand. In Your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Reverend Singleton, for that beautiful and powerful prayer. Now, Ms. Jones will come back and share one of our great Negro spirituals with us. And then afterwards, we'll be ready to present our dynamic speakers for the morning. Ms. Jones.
I've got a home up in that shoulder up my cross. I'm going to take it home to my Jesus. Ain't that good to news? I've got a Savior in that kingdom. Ain't that good to news? I've got a Savior in that kingdom. Ain't that good to news? I'm going to lay down this world. I'm going to shoulder up my cross. I'm going to take it home to my Jesus. Ain't that good to news? I'm going to take it home to my Jesus. Ain't that good to news? I'm going to take it home to my Jesus. Ain't that good to news? I'm going to take it to Jesus. Ain't that good to news? I'm going to take it to Jesus. Ain't that good to news? I'm going to take it to Jesus. Ain't that good news? Take it home. Ain't that good to know? Take it home. Ain't that good news?
Amen. Thank you, Miss Jones. Where would we be without these beautiful Negro spirituals that carried our ancestors and are carrying us through many dangers, toils, and snares? We thank God for you. At this time, we will introduce our first speaker, Joshua Gale, who is a junior business administration major, will come and introduce the Honorable Mayor Melvin Carter. Joshua.
Good morning. My name is Joshua Gale. I am a senior finance major here at Voorhees College. I am also the president of the Enactors Club, and today I will be introducing our speaker. A fourth-generation St. Paul resident, Mayor Carter leads with an unapologetic equity agenda. Since taking office in 2018, his accomplishments include raising the city's minimum wage, tripling free program and rec centers, eliminating late fines in public libraries, reestablishing an affordable housing trust fund, expanding immigrant and refugee support resources, and launching an Office of Financial Empowerment. One signature initiative is College Bound St. Paul. Mayor Carter's plan to start every child born in the city with a $50 college savings account, starting January 1st, 2020. Passionate about helping others engage in civic processes, Mayor Carter has trained progressive activists and candidates in over 30 states, and commonly recites his administration's mantra, building a city that works for us all means we must all do the work. Prior to his election in 2017, Mayor Carter has served as a St. Paul City Council member, founding board chair of the St. Paul Promise Neighborhood, director of the Minnesota Office of Early Learning, and executive director of the Minnesota Children's Cabinet. A proud graduate of the St. Paul Public Schools, Mayor Carter holds a bachelor's degree in business administration from Florida A&M University and a Master of Public Policy from the Humphrey School of Public Affairs at the University of Minnesota. He currently resides in St. Paul's historic Rondo neighborhood with his wife, Dr. Sakina Butrell Carter, and their children, just a few doors down from his childhood home. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Mayor Melvin Carter.
Melvin Carter will be the city of St. Paul's first African-American mayor.
He had a decisive victory in the first ballot of a ranked choice election that city officials expected would take days to count, but did not. The 38-year-old campaigned with an impressive list of endorsements. As Esme Murphy reports, he has an equally impressive family history of service.
Amidst the celebrations last night, even Mayor-elect Melvin Carter said he was stunned by the speed of his election in a ranked choice vote with 10 other candidates.
I told my children that, don't expect, anything tonight. We're not going to know tonight. There's just no way with 10 candidates to expect for anybody to be able to clear over 50% in those first choices. And we did, which feels like the impossible.
Carter, a former
My brothers and sisters, we are so delighted and blessed and happy to have the Honorable Mayor Melvin Carter of St. Paul, Minnesota. Brother Mayor, good morning to you.
Dr. Mason, good morning to you as well. I'm happy to be here. Appreciate you having me on.
Oh man, we are just so blessed to have you here with us today, and thank you for coming and sharing. First of all, how's the weather there? How are your people doing?
Well, it's we got up to 11 degrees, I think, today, so we're excited for the heat wave. We spent a few days below zero, and we've had a good amount of snow here lately. So we're getting ready to get out in the snow a little bit. We are a cold weather space, but nobody has the cross country skiing, the downhill skiing, the sledding, the snowball fights, and all that other type of stuff that we have. So we got to get out into it.
Got to get out into it. Well, we're delighted to have you here to join us at our Blue Table Black History Month celebration as we are exploring some of the great and dynamic young African Americans who are excelling in every field of endeavor. And so we want you today to share a little bit about your journey, your educational journey, and your road to becoming the mayor of St. Paul. We would love to hear a little of that story. I know that it will certainly inspire our students.
Well, I definitely appreciate that. It's good to be here. My story is like a number of your students, which is one of the reasons we did this. Honestly, we don't get a chance to do enough stuff beyond the city because there's, the demands within the city are just kind of pressing on every side right now. But to talk to students at Voorhees, to talk to students at HBCU who are walking a similar path as we walked, was important. I went to Florida A&M University from Minnesota. People would ask me, was Florida A&M a culture shock coming from Minnesota? There it is. And I would always tell them, no, growing up in Minnesota was a culture shock. Florida A&M University felt like home for the first time. So I got down there and was around just these brilliant people and multifaceted people. I love the duality that exists within our HBCUs, Dr. Mason, and identifying people who could not only kind of, knock it out in their Calculus 2 class, but then would show up and hang out and, have a good time and do the latest dances and know the latest songs. I had experiences before going to FAMU where, some of the folks I was in class with during the week were folks I didn't really hang out with during the weekend. And quite the opposite was true at FAMU, and I loved that. And so, but ended up down there during what ended up being something of a civil rights immersion experience. I went down there to run track. I went down there to study business administration and thought I was going into corporate America. And while we were down there, we had a number of things from former Governor Jeb Bush trying to dismantle affirmative action to, Election 2000, if you remember that, hanging chads in Florida. To a series of hate bombings on our campus that ended up resulting in the FBI occupying our campus, and we had to wear our student ID badges around our necks, or else you'd be questioned by the FBI. And they ended up catching some racially motivated guy who was setting off bombs on our campus. And so it really made us realize that we were honing our skills and sharpening our saws for a much greater purpose than just making some money for ourselves. And that's true of all of your students as well. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this. I mentioned Election 2000. If you don't know about Election 2000, I would suggest you guys Google it. It was Florida in Election 2000, open election between Bush and Gore. And ultimately, long story short, Bush won the country by a narrow margin, and Florida, just as we saw this last year, it became this narrow margin. And the states that were important, Florida ended up being the tie-breaking state, and one of the candidates' brother was the governor of Florida. And in order to win Florida, they had disqualified thousands of voters, which included hundreds of our classmates at Florida A&M University, and included my brother. We showed up to vote, and he got turned away from the polls. And that was this real kind of big slap in the face, I think, that said to us and said to me in particular, like, this notion of an America that is amazing because everyone gets a say. It's not that simple, and it's a little more complicated than that. And between getting turned away, between having to argue his right to vote at a Florida polling place, between being terrified of a racist hate bomber terrorizing our campus, between organizing for the census, between seeing the progress of affirmative action, attempt to be stripped away, it connected us, Dr. Mason, to our past. It connected me to like the civil rights era, things that I had only seen on TV, things that my grandparents had told me about, but I felt like was just a fundamentally different world. It connected me to that past. It made me realize I have children right now. We have 6 children. It was my first time thinking about them and realizing they're going to ask me about how I operated in this space and what I did. And I can't just tell them I wrote a paper about all of this. I have to have some action. I think you guys are in one of those moments right now. Your children will absolutely read about right now. They will read about 2020 and they will read about 2021 in their history books. And they will look at you and say, "Oh, this is crazy. All of this was going on at the same time." And they'll ask you, "What did you do?" And I hope you're able to tell them you got straight A's. And I hope that you're able to tell them that you took good care of yourself and your family. And I also hope that you're able to tell them that you took some public action, whether that's on your campus or in your community or in your country or in your city, whatever it is, to help us get through all of these tragedies, all of these crises that we're facing together. That's my long answer, Dr. Mason.
That is incredible. What a story! What a example of empowerment while you were in school. You were also able to be social and active. I think you joined a organization.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
And certainly that helped to empower you and fuel you to do continued greater things. And we certainly know about your wonderful track record. But after graduation from college, tell us what next? What were your plans? Did you return back home? Did you have this big, bright, beautiful future plan for you, or did the Lord direct you to another path?
All of the above. I had a plan. I had a plan, and one of the things that I've learned is every time I have a plan, God just laughs.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so I came back home for grad school. Young man mentioned, what was the name? Joshua, is that right?
Joshua Gale, yes.
Thank you, Joshua, by the way. I meant to thank you first. Thank you, Joshua. I appreciate that. You did me a great honor, and I appreciate that greatly. And congratulations on all your activism on campus that you talked about. Yeah, so I came back home and did my master's degree at the University of Minnesota. Went into corporate. I spent a solid, I think, 7 months in corporate America as I realized that it wasn't for me. A friend of mine, as I was leaving, said, "You have to leave. You hate that job." And I remember telling him, "It's not that I hate the job. I actually like the people, and I actually found the work relatively easy. But I remember saying, look, it's that a week of my life isn't getting me 7 days closer to finishing my life's work." Which was my first time thinking of my life as building a work, right? Building a body of work. Like, you think about that Sistine Chapel, right? Or like when you're gone, what is it that you're planning on leaving behind, right? And so I had an experience. So I started community organizing. I loved when Barack Obama ran for president because suddenly people knew what a community organizer was and stopped asking me to fix their closets for them. So I started doing community organizing and working on campaigns, and I ended up working in the mayor's office. That was 2006. I ended up working in the mayor's office, my predecessor as mayor, and I fell in love with municipal government. And what I learned is my Sistine Chapel, my life work is in engaging people, involving people in the processes that govern their lives, right? I believe, we talk about equity. And our
Yes.
definition of equity isn't a social justice definition of equity at all. It's a business definition of equity. Equity is a money word that invokes ownership and decision-making power and participation in an economy. If I own equity in a company, then if that company has a good quarter, I have a good quarter too. And when we use equity as like this social justice word that's disconnected from money, monetary power, economic power, and decision-making power, we disconnect equity from any kind of sense of reality. So ultimately, my goal in life, my life mission statement is to empower people to influence the processes and systems that influence them, right? That have an impact on their life. And one of the things that I learned really quickly is in Washington, D.C., people always ask me, like, what's the difference between City Hall and the state legislature, City Hall and Congress? And I always tell them, if you think about the complex issues of our day that stimulate your cerebral core, well, that's the legislature. But if you think about the stuff that pisses you off, that's City Hall, right?
City Hall, yeah.
And
Good way of putting it. Yeah, I like
well,
that.
and the way I justify that is because every now and then I have some legislators say, no, and I say, like, look, your work is important. I'm not saying the work isn't important, but if you think about the things in the last week or 2 weeks or month that just on your drive to work or in your life and community, as my good friend Stacy, or anywhere else, the things that have impacted your life so immediately and so intimately that you just growl involuntarily, right? I can just about guarantee you it's a vacant house. It's a pothole in your street that your car hits. It's neighborhood crime. It's vandalism. It's a drug dealer on the corner. After you call 911. Long story short, it's the things that we deal with in City Hall. It's not the things they deal with in Washington, D.C. or the state capitals. And so it gives us a different opportunity to engage people on an intimate level, right? When I ran for city council, somebody said, look, when my Congress member asked for my vote, she's asking me to trust her on a federal trade policy, right? But they said, you're asking me to trust you on where my kids go after school, right? And it touches us in a different way. And it gives us opportunities to connect people in a different way. Think about like the enormous movement that I know you've all read about that was the Black Panther Party for self-defense. That whole movement started around a bunch of people saying, we need a stoplight at this corner, a municipal issue. And so that's why I fell in love with municipal governance. I left the mayor's office and ran for city council myself. I think I was 26 or 27 years old or something like that. And spent about 6 years on the city council working on education issues, working. You can see how happy he was to meet me. Working on education issues, working on economic development and transit issues and different things like that. Spent, I think, 4 years working for the governor as executive director of the Minnesota Children's Cabinet, establishing a full-day kindergarten in Minnesota, early learning scholarships to ensure that our young children can access high-quality early childhood activities. And that's when I came back in 2017 and ran for mayor of my home city.
So what I hear you saying to our students and students all around is that you have to do the work.
That's right.
You did the work.
That's right. That's exactly right.
At various levels. You got to know local government and I think that's important for our young people who have political and aspirations and ambitions, that they got to get in and do the work and understand what it is they want to do.
That's it exactly. My first conversation with my track coach when I got to FAMU, he said a short phrase to me. He said, "Listen, son, there is no magic pill, right? There is no magic pill. You got to do it." And so the advice that I give to young people who are interested in running for office is, one, don't focus on running for office. Don't focus on the change that you want to make in the world. Focus on what the impact is, right?
Yeah.
For me, if I didn't realize that my passion was getting people engaged in public systems, I wouldn't know that I wanted to be a mayor in the first place. I wouldn't know that the city council would be my best fit. And so get engaged in those issues. If you want to run for city council and you start telling me you're running for city council because you want more jobs in your neighborhood or you want better housing in your neighborhood or whatever that issue is, I'm going to ask you what union or what housing organization or what, how you've been volunteering and doing the work as a non-elected leader to show me whether you're really serious and authentic. And the other thing is, that'll give you the relationships. If you're doing the work, that'll give you the relationships with the people you need a relationship with anyways to run for city council as an affordable housing candidate or as a jobs candidate or other thing like that. The other advice I give to my young people, a couple pieces of advice that I give to my young people. One is, start your retirement plan early, right? Start planning for retirement early. The horrible truth of life is when you look up and go, oh shoot, I got to start planning for retirement. It's too late to start planning for retirement. So start early. When you do an internship, start putting some money into a 401k or something, because you'll want a long retirement. You'll want to be happy. But the second thing is, in the meantime, ask questions. Ask questions. Whatever field you go into, you're going to do amazing work. You're going to do important work, and it's going to be like big and critical. And you'll be around people who have taken years to learn it, and they'll know that you can't just show up in days or weeks or months and just all of a sudden know everything, right? And I think young people go wrong when they try to pretend that they already know everything, right? And they,
Right.
and I used to do that. Oh yeah, I got it. And I'd stay up all night and study, trying to figure out what in the world they were talking about in that meeting, right? But the crazy thing is, the young people who impress, when I have interns, the ones who impress me are the ones who aren't worried about looking stupid and asking the question that's on their mind, because they don't know. And a lot of times, honestly, that's why we like to bring young people in, because we don't know either. Some of those questions I don't know the answer to, because I hadn't even thought of the question.
Right.
When
Right.
I first got elected, Mayor Dr. Mason, our outgoing deputy mayor asked me, are you going to change the furniture in the mayor's office?
Really?
Are you going to just move it around?
Yeah.
Or rearrange the furniture? And it was mind blowing to me. I've been around City Hall for the better part of the last 2 decades, right? And it was mind blowing to me that as mayor of the city, that I had the power to move the desk, right? Because I've just seen it there for so long. And that's the power of the status quo, right? That's the power of just the amount of inertia that we can build just standing still. Is we're so used to things. As a young person, you're going to come into these spaces. You're not going to be used to the things, so you're going to ask questions that it didn't even occur to me as a question in the first place. And some of those questions is an opportunity for you to learn. Some of those questions are opportunity for me to learn. So I think one of the most important things is to just ask questions, not worry about looking stupid, or not worry about looking like you don't know what you're talking about. Because when you ask questions, that's what makes it clear that you're really thoughtful.
So how has it been for you as we kind of prepare to wind? You've dropped some tremendous nuggets. Do you some days feel totally overwhelmed with?
Yes.
Do you?
Oh yeah, we had a day where my first year in office was it was hectic before this last year. I would have called it hectic. So let's see, the last Saturday in April in my first year in office, 2018, we had a rock slide where some 400 pounds of rock dropped somewhat spontaneously from a bluff onto one of our busiest streets. I will always remember that it was the last Saturday in April, because had it been 1 week later, that would have dropped on our annual Cinco de Mayo parade and been an international news story. And so it's a Saturday night. I'm out there. We've got a police kind of car spotlight up at the bluff. We've got the state geographer or whatever it is, the state geologist out there, and we're looking at this under flashlights, trying to figure out what's going on. And the road is blocked, and we got 400,000 pounds of rock in the street. And my wife looked at me and she said, "How do you know what to do?" And I looked at her and said, "Do I look like I have a clue what to do?" And so, I had no idea what to do. And so, I've learned a lot of new words. We've learned about rock slides. We've learned about water main breaks. We've learned about rivers flooding. I've learned a whole lot about snow plowing. We've learned about a pandemic. We've learned about homelessness. We've learned about all these things. And there's no way for one person to know all these things, right? There's no way for one person to have the whole toolkit that you would need to make the decisions and to know what to do through all of this. So I have to take the advice I just told you guys. I have to know who to ask. I have to be able to ask questions. I have to bring in those experts. I have to trust people to do my job. That I can sum up, 4 years of business school management classes with the phrase, hire people smarter than you and trust them to do their jobs.
Yes.
And that's probably my biggest skill, is hiring people smarter than me. And I have to rely really heavily on them. And at some level, you have to make a decision and know you did your best and push forward with it.
Wow, incredible, incredible. I want to just share very briefly this clip, and then I'm going to bring our president on to bring some personal greetings to you. But I came across this that I just thought was just absolutely creative, clever, and phenomenal. And I want to share it with the Voorhees family.
How does a brash, belligerent, son of an immigrant and mogul, draft-dodging TV show presidential hopeful, go from trash-talking sexual assaulter straight to the highest public altar? $1 million from his father without a bother would have inflated farther if he was a lot smarter, if he worked a lot harder or hustled like Sean Carter, but instead, he'd rather the water at Mar-a-Lago. And some of us slept through the fuss, waiting for one to come and save us, but this exigent president brought our guard up. And suddenly, a longing for something to be a part of. The nation was ready for Party 2020 to start up. Then the midterms came and people power reigned, voters pressing and checking for new faces and names, elected women and immigrants, unashamed and untamed, and sent leaders to build bridges and make America sane again. But here in St. Paul, some say this is insane, man. We got a brown-eyed mayor now and everything is changing. He won't pay for the fireworks. He jumped out of a plane. This city's never gonna be the same. What's your name, man? Mayor Melvin Carter.
Brother. Well, we know after you complete your political career, you have a career on Broadway, I'm sure.
That was fun. That's an
annual event. That's sort of like the correspondence address. It's a fundraiser for nonprofit journalism in Minnesota. And we just like to be silly there. It gives us an opportunity to do stuff in a way and communicate what we're doing in a way. So that was my Hamilton-inspired remix of my State of the City address that year.
I love it. I thought it was so creative. I tell you, well, we are so delighted that you would take some time out of your very busy schedule to join us. I want to introduce and present to you our president, Dr. Ronnie Hopkins, who will normally we wait until the end, but I know you have a busy schedule, and he'll bring some greetings to you at this time.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Mason. Brother Mayor Melvin Carter, absolutely, we are appreciative of you sharing your time with us during Black History Month. So now we can probably say, given that last clip, AKA Paul Robeson, you are amazing. So we thank you on all levels. Let me just point out a couple of things. One, thank you so much for dichotomizing the intelligentsia that you found at an HBCU, and then at the same time, the diversity. That is so important for people to understand as we continue to fight this battle and engage in this critical dialectic of the relevance of HBCUs, as I consider continued nonsense for people to even question the relevance of HBCUs. But thank you so much, and for being a product of an HBCU. Also, I would like to formally welcome you to the Voorhees College family, and to say that for your 6 children, Voorhees College would be a wonderful home. We have exciting academic programs and amazing co-curricular experiences that would certainly prepare them for their next level, so they can begin, believe, and become at Voorhees College. So certainly thank you. Thank you also for sharing the importance of lifelong learning. We never stop learning. We're never too old. And just because we get 1 degree, 2 degrees, 3 degrees, learning should never stop. So these nuggets, and I'll say these old gold nuggets that you place in the hearts and minds of our students, are so important. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining the Voorhees College family. We're indebted to you, sir.
Well, I definitely appreciate you, Dr. Hopkins, Dr. Mason. I appreciate you opening your virtual doors to me. I too am perplexed by this notion of whether HBCUs are still relevant, and especially I'll say in the moment of crisis that we've experienced over the last year. I've seen Stacey Abrams step to the forefront. I've seen Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms step to the forefront. I've seen Mayor Randall Woodfin step to the forefront. And I've seen Vice President Kamala Harris step to the forefront. And it seems to me that there is a unrepresentative sample of people who are leading our country through this moment, who happen to trace their roots to and through HBCUs. And that to me is a question that's asked and answered.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. And I know you would not trade your Florida A&M experience for anything in the world.
Sure would. Sure would.
Yes, indeed.
Sure would. And Dr. Hawk, my children spent a lot of time on FAMU's campus, so you might have some trouble prying them away. But I tell them all the time, like, my goal isn't for them to go to FAMU. My goal is for them to step on some campus somewhere and feel the sense of home that I felt at FAMU, and that's where I want them to go. So I'll encourage them to visit.
Absolutely. And we'll welcome them with open arms.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Brother Mayor Carter. It's so good to see you, and thank you for being with us. And continue blessings to you as you lead the great city of St. Paul. Dr. Hopkins, we'll see you back very shortly.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. That was wonderful. Thank you, Mayor Carter. And now to come and to introduce our next very special guest. This morning, we have, just a second. Okay, Mr. Xavier Wilcox, who's a sophomore business administration major, who will come and present Dr. Dionne Mahaffey. All right, Xavier, here you go.
Greetings, I am Xavier Wilcox, sophomore business administration major from Voorhees College. Dr. Dionne Mahaffey is a business psychologist, author, technologist, entrepreneur, talk show host, professor, and organizational strategies coach. She specializes in personal growth, leadership, and purposeful coaching. As a serial volunteering donor, she founded the Atlanta chapter of the Austin Foundation for the Arts and Sciences as a means of supporting and funding the doers of good in the metro area. She frequently lectures on the topics of social entrepreneurship and volunteerism. Dr. Mahaffey has 25 plus years experience in the technology sector. She is the founder of the Culture Greetings, an innovative greeting card platform that allows users to personalize greeting cards and have them mailed directly to their intended recipient. Dr. Mahaffey's talk show, Let's Talk Good Business, is a lively format of news, information, and dialogues with luminaries in all walks of business. The show, which airs on WDJY 99.1 FM in Atlanta and Channel 36 in Washington, D.C., chronicles the emerging identity of social entrepreneurs, activists, philanthropists, and other creative changemakers. Dr. Mahaffey received her Bachelor of Science degree from Auburn University, a doctorate in psychology from the Colorado School of Professional Psychology, and she completed postdoctoral certification in personal leadership at Columbia University in New York City. She is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, the United Way's Volunteer Involvement Program, VIP, Toastmasters, and Junior League of Atlanta. Her proudest role is being the mother of 2 adult children, Ashanti Eliza and Nasir Ali Muhammad. Ladies and gentlemen, our speaker, Dr. Dionne Mahaffey.
Dr. Dionne, hey, welcome. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. We go all the way back to digging it up. So
don't we go in there? But wait a minute. Let me share with the Voorhees family this.
Hey y'all, this is Charlie Wilson. I'm partnering up with Culture Greetings to bring you some of my favorite Forever Valentine cards, just in time for Valentine's Day. Spread the love and send your Valentine one of these beautiful cards. You don't want to miss this, because I went online and saw one of these cards. I would have already sent that to my Valentine. I got a little message in there for what I'm saying to your Valentine, and then on this side, you can do the same over here. So head over to culturegreeting.com to order now.
I just want the folks to know who they have. I want them to know that they have the founder and the owner of Cultural Greetings, and Uncle Charlie is endorsing your cards. You got to tell us, my sister, about your journey. And then at the end, I'm going to share with them who your very, very famous cousin is.
Oh,
they got to watch that until the end. But and pronounce your last name correctly for me.
You said Mahaffey, which is correct for
Mahaffey.
I say Mahaffey. You know, either way is fine.
Either way. Well, if you would, Dr. Dionne, tell us about your journey, educational journey. You're from Alabama.
I am.
And just kind of walk us through your journey through school and how you have engaged your learning this in college to create these wonderful opportunities that you've created.
Well, let me first do the HBCU tie-in because I started my academic collegiate journey at Alabama State University.
Okay, wonderful.
I happened to graduate from Auburn. I took classes at Tuskegee as well before transferring to Auburn for my major, which was computer science. And so, for me, I was so excited to look at your academic calendar and see that there's a computer science degree available to the students, because with that degree, which has served me well throughout life, you can build what you dream. When you are a computer science major or any type of scientist, or you have any type of STEM background, entrepreneurship, another program that you have, is something that, you can use throughout life, in any walk of life. And then being able to undergird that with technology is something that's very important. So I started my career as a software developer in Atlanta. And, just throughout my career, technology has been something at the forefront of everything that I do. I've worked for some amazing companies. I have my own consultancy where I work with companies on large transformations. And I started in computer science, a time where people called us data processors, but then for our generation, so many things happen that help to amplify, the field and to give us endless opportunities. In the 90s, there was the Y2K scare. There was the Telecom Communications Act that deregulated the telecommunications industry. There were the internet boom, of course, that we still now benefit from, and then the bust, of that bubble, and then the resurgence of how we use social media today as Web 2.0, which is what we techies call it. And so, just being able to build on these platforms and to, expand and innovate. Anything that you think about, you can build with code. And so I think that I specifically want to talk to your computer science majors about, just staying the course is not the easiest major to have. And just know that if you can't go find a job, you can make a job. And that's for anyone. I think that's one of the benefits of, the HBCU family. You see so much Black excellence around you, and you see people who are able to guide you, and that they care. And I can tell, for me, having had both experiences, my family is my HBCU family. They were able to groom and mold me into the woman, that I am. And so I'm very grateful for that experience, because nothing compares to what you get social culturally, on a Black college campus. My mother, she graduated from Alabama State and Miles College. She received her law degree from Miles College and several degrees from Alabama State University. And so, I love what the mayor said recently about, the Mayor Carter said about lifelong learning. And then you put up this picture of John Lewis. I am now getting another degree in clinical mental health counseling, because that's going to be a part of my retirement. And our beloved brother, Congressman John Lewis, actually wrote my letter of recommendation when I applied to the program. So it's just very touching to me to continue this journey, as hard as it is, as busy as I am, with business and, my clients, my consultancy, and I'm in school and doing my internship in the counseling center right now at Voorhees College. So being on staff, on the clinical staff there, is something that I'm doing right now amongst all the other things that are part of my busy life. But the message that I want to give to the students is just stay the course. Whether you're being entrepreneurial on your job, just think about innovating and, giving a benefit to whatever project you're working on. And if you're not one that wants to start your own business, you can innovate wherever you are. You can innovate wherever you work. You can be an entrepreneur, meaning that you apply these skill sets that people often think about when you think about owning your own business, innovating, creating systems and new strategies to help amplify, whatever it is that you're working on. You can do that within the company and get the same type of, not from a money perspective. As an entrepreneur, there's different benefit, but the satisfaction of knowing that you built something, you can get, working entrepreneurially wherever you are.
Mm-hmm. That's incredible. I did not know that you were working on another degree. You have a PhD already,
Yeah.
a lifelong learner. Tell us about your cultural greetings company, how it came about, and the market. Is there still a market for greeting cards in this age of social media and technology, and how you've been able to work all of that in?
Yeah, so there are still 8 billion greeting cards sold every year. It is still a very robust industry. The majority of cards, of course, are bought by women, 80% of them, and millennials buy a significant number of cards, and they like the convenience of using technology to facilitate that. So that's what Culture Greetings is. It's a tech platform that allows you to, because I think people tried the e-cards thing. It didn't feel the same.
Right.
Didn't feel the same. You still want that experience of doing something as quick as a social media post, but you still want that physical, tangible object to arrive at the mailbox. And those of us who check our mailbox, we know and can appreciate when we get something that's not a bill,
Right.
So you see, and I get to touch your heart. You sent your heart to me in the mail, because people don't use greeting cards to send hate. They might do that in a letter.
Yeah.
But greeting cards are something that are thoughtful.
Right.
They're based on love and connection and encouragement. And we like to touch and feel that. And so, being a Black woman and all of us as Black people and other people of color, when we walk down the greeting card aisle, we don't see ourselves. And there have been companies, majority-owned companies that have made the attempt, and they've missed the mark sometimes, because you can't sell our culture back to us. That it's something distinctive about the colloquialisms that we use, the words that we say, the imagery that we want to see. And even when they have Black folk on staff or leading the charge, because the people over them, still make the final say, they missed the mark. And we've had all types of outcry about, inappropriate imagery and wording on greeting cards as it relates to Black folk. So I wanted to, as someone who buys greeting card, you could say, "Oh, I stumped my toe." You'll get a card from me saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry you stumped your toe." I mean, I just send cards. It's just my thing. So I wanted to build something that allowed us to send real cards in the mail. So it's a tech platform. It's to walk down the greeting card aisle. You pick the card across all holidays, sentiments, and occasions, and you can write inside of it. They're on the platform. And you can change your font. The fonts look like real handwriting, put real pen to paper. And, then you specify your recipient at checkout. And through automation, we print and mail that card. The cards they go in one swoop. They go down the conveyor. It's printed, it's folded, it's scored, inserted inside the envelope even without a person touching it. And if you want to add a gift card inside, we have that option too. Starbucks, Amazon, Target, iTunes, a myriad of different cards. And then for those who don't need to mail the card because they're going to see you, they want to give it to you in hand, we have a technology integration with Walgreens. So
wow.
Instead of specifying a recipient, you can say, I want to pick this up at Walgreens, and then the store locator that we integrate with Walgreens to pull into our site, you put in your zip code and the 9,000 stores, one of those locations will come up, you select it, and then you go pick it up. And usually they have it ready in an hour.
Yeah.
And they have a new CEO at Walgreens, Roz Brewer, who was formerly at Starbucks.
Spelman grad, class of 84. Yes,
indeed.
Yeah. Your soror, right.
And so that's the other option. And then we've been doing a lot of social justice work on the platform. So I'm building out a separate platform called Voices, because we did a couple of postcard campaigns, in support of justice for Elijah McClain and sending things to officials. Matthew Russian, who's in Virginia, had autism and was sentenced. Breonna Taylor not getting justice. So the postcard platform, we did it on the Culture Greetings site proper, but there will be a new one, and we'll be kicking that off. I won't say the campaign that it will be, but there's a trial coming up that we all are hoping that justice will be served for our brother. And with that one, we will kick off Voices for that social justice campaign. So, Culture Greetings is a tech platform that allows us to engage and express ourselves to each other through the classical utility of a greeting card.
So you found a niche. Let's take a look at this clip.
Now you can pick up Culture Greetings exclusive greeting cards from your local Walgreens store. Visit culturegreetings.com and pick a greeting card. Then write a note inside or leave it blank if you'd like. Next, select Walgreens as the delivery option. Then pick the store location nearest you. Did you know there are over 9,000 Walgreens stores? Pretty cool, huh? Be on the lookout for an email or text message directly from your local Walgreens when your cards have been printed. Sometimes it takes less than an hour. Then you just pick up and pay in the store. Again, thanks for supporting Culture Greetings. Please follow us on social media and tell a friend.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
That's
you found a niche in the greeting card industry and went for it. How did Charlie Wilson get involved? Most recently.
They reached out to me through email.
Okay.
And we ideated really quick about what we wanted to do. Actually, I turned some art around for his cards in a day. And then his team added some more. Yeah, I did the two on the left and they sent me the two on the right. And then, his team, we then decided, what the messaging would be and what would make them distinctive beyond just him being on the front, but a message on the inside from him, as well as a QR code that went to a special landing page with the message and his video, to promote his song Forever Valentine. And so we went live with that in about 8 days,
Wow.
Yeah, and it did really good. It did really well.
That's great. So what you've demonstrated, Dionne, is that you can do many things well. Business psychologist, entrepreneur, talk show host, organizational strategist, owner of a company that really the sky is the limit.
I constantly work. I'm one of those people that I don't sleep much.
Right.
My mind is constantly going. I'm thinking about ways I can create.
Sure.
But yeah, and I think that's the beauty of education, and just being open to, being in an environment like your students are in where, their growth is promoted and supported, and once they get it in their head that, I can do anything.
Yes.
That's all it takes. And I tell people all the time, there's a joke I tell. I say, I believe that I can do anything, that I probably would go to interview for a position as the head of surgery at a hospital. And only up until they asked me where'd I go to medical school would I be out of the game, because I would so confidently go through that interview and I would confidently have them wrapped around my finger and they would be ready to offer me the job. But they need to know where I went to medical school. And they'll say, oh, I didn't. So
So you're very active in the community and a part of many social and civic organizations, but you're also a part now. Did you establish the Awesome Foundation? Tell us about the Awesome Foundation, what it's about, because you are helping to make dreams come true for a lot of people.
I didn't found it. I founded the Atlanta chapter, but here's the story. It was founded by students in the Cambridge, Massachusetts area. And if you know from having to raise money, it's easier to get $1 million than it is to get $1,000.
Yeah.
Whenever you need a small amount of money, they're like, what do you need that for? What kind of impact is that going to make? So there was a student in the Boston area that needed money to build something for a sustainability course. And she wanted to build a hammock out in their Piedmont, their Central Park, in the area where Harvard and other students hang out. She's like, well, I can build a hammock out of sustainable material. It was a school project. She could not get $1,000. So some students came together at a pub and they each put $100. It was 10 of them in a bag and gave it to her. And it made the news and they felt good and they kept doing it. So when their matriculations at Harvard and other schools ended and they moved to other areas, then they started chapters around. And now the chapters are all over the world, and basically the concept is simple. We're not a nonprofit. We're just a group of givers. Basically, in each city, there's 10 people that come together and donate $100 out of our own pocket to make up the Awesome grant.
Okay.
And so, yeah. And so today, and you don't have to be a nonprofit. So that nonprofit status has nothing to do with your awesome quotient. You know, you could be a group of friends that say, hey, we want to feed the homeless, and can we get $1,000 to buy the food and to, whatever it is. And so today we've given $5 million worldwide. There are 88 chapters in 12 countries.
That's amazing. Yeah. What a brilliant concept and a brilliant idea, and just tremendous great work that you're doing. Well, I tell you, we have been so inspired by your story and your work. You are just one of the bright and shining stars that we know. And you also have, as famous as you are, you also have someone that people may know. Tell us about and how your cousin Stevie Wonder, Stephen Judkins, is doing.
He's doing well. He had been ill,
yeah,
but he's doing well. And yeah, Stephen Judkins. My mother is Dr. Barbara Judkins is her maiden name. She's Mahaffey Thomas now, but yeah, Judkins is her maiden name. So we're related on my mother's father's side. So my mom's side. Yep. And I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm super close to him, but because he's not my generation, my mother.
He's your mother's generation. Right.
Yeah. And he's still a little younger than my mother, who's, almost 80. But yeah, I do engage with his daughter, and I talk to other members of the family, often. And so, whenever he's in town, I try to make sure I get to go see him.
Good. Yeah. And you were
cards.
Exactly. I tell you, we are so blessed to have you. I'm going to bring our president in, Dr. Ronnie Hopkins, and introduce the two of you together. And Dr. Hopkins, whenever we are ready to do something with the great Dionne and Stevie, we got the contact, we got the hookup. I used to nag Dionne when I was the general president of Alpha. I said, you got to connect me. You got to hook me up. That's what friends are for. Isn't that what Stevie's saying? That's what friends are for. Dionne, you are spectacular, incredible, one of the sharpest dressers in the world, on top of everything else that you do. And we're just so delighted, so blessed. You've inspired us. I know you have, and our students who are majoring in computer science business, to build the dream, to build it. I thought that was profound. Indeed. Dr. Hopkins?
Sure. Dr. Mahaffey, thank you so much for joining us, being a part of our Black History celebration. You are indeed the epitome of Black history. Please let me tell you that I feel like an underachiever. With all of your already established academic attainment, and then to hear that yet you're doing another terminal degree, you are truly a lifelong learner, and really, absolutely, you are an example of excellence. So thank you so much. Thank you for, I hung onto the words, and it's so critical and so profound for our students to hear you say, stay the course. Absolutely. I'm reminded that of the gospel song that God hasn't promised us sunshine every day. It has to rain sometime, but that's okay, because the rain is needed for vegetation to grow. Rain is needed for us to live. So stay the course. That is so profound. So thank you for placing that nugget into us. Also, I'd like for you to know that our computer science degree is computer science and cybersecurity. So our students do the double study of computer science and cybersecurity, and we're about to launch a certificate in artificial intelligence. So we're keeping up with the times and making certain that we are offering the cutting edge majors and certificates that our students need to be successful today. Finally, I'll talk about your success, and thank you so much for just your sensitivity to culturally relevance. That is so important, and through your culture greetings. And I'd like to place a bug in your ear. Wouldn't it be amazing if you could commission a card for an HBCU, let's say Voorhees College, for example, and so we send postcards to all of our students. Wouldn't it be amazing if that card would come from you and your company, and it would have the QR code that would allow them to finish their registration? That would be amazing. So we need we definitely need to talk, and then we'll be the initial institution that you start with. Then you can take a look at the other 102 HBCUs, but please begin with Voorhees College.
We can definitely do that, and we actually can build automation for that into your registration system so that you can fire off any types of postcards. We do have an HBCU section because we don't have the license what the cards look like if you go to the graduation or the HBCU section. It just has the year of founding.
Yes. Yes.
It looks sort of like an athletic jersey, the year of founding. So we do have that. But one of my next goals is to try to get licensing from schools to show some of the official imagery and buildings and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, we can definitely talk about that workflow that you mentioned.
Well, that's great. Part of our partnership, and we welcome you to the family. And again, thank you so very much.
Thank you, guys, and I'll come speak anytime. When all this is over, especially to those entrepreneurship majors and those computer science students.
Oh, we appreciate you. We appreciate you very much. Thank you so much, Dionne, and thank you, Dr. Hopkins, as well.
Before we go, Dr. Mason, I would like to thank you for your wonderful work as chair of the Lyceum Committee and bringing us such amazing individuals. So thank you as chair. Thank the Lyceum Committee. Certainly let me take a moment to thank Miss Rachel Jones for her wonderful voice, Reverend Yvonne Singleton for the prayer. Thank our wonderful students, Mr. Joshua Gale and Mr. Xavier Wilcox for such excellent presentations as they introduced our speakers. So we thank you so much. Thank our cabinet. Certainly our faculty, our staff, and of course, all of our amazing students. And as I always say, the white and true blue alumni of Voorhees College. So thank you for all that you do, Dr. Mason.
Oh, my pleasure, Dr. Hopkins. Thank you so much for your tremendous support. Next week, we are delighted to have two amazing professionals in the health sciences, Dr. Jane Middlebrooks Morgan from Emory University, and public health professional Dr. Michael Frank Weaver will be here with us on next week. Just a few additional announcements. As you've heard, the Office of Student Engagement is accepting applications, so please contact Mr. Wright and his office. Again, Dr. Hopkins, continued blessings to you, and thank you so much for your support.
Thank you.
At this time, we're going to invite Reverend Yvonne Singleton back to close us out in prayer. Reverend Singleton. Are you muted, Reverend Singleton? Can't hear you for some reason. Unmute yourself, please. Okay, we may seem to be having a little technical difficulty with Reverend Singleton's audio, but that's okay. Go in love and go in peace. We have been blessed. Thank you, Mayor Carter, Dr. Mahaffey, for sharing with us on this great day. And we invite you back next Thursday, same time, to join us at the Blue Table Talk Black History Month program for Voorhees College, where you can begin, believe, and become. This concludes our Black History Month program for today.